Hi, hello, and welcome back into another episode of Craven Some Raven. It's finally here. Day 2 is in the books. Rounds 2 and 3 is done. The Ravens made 2 draft picks in the third round. We didn't have a second round pick. Listen to Eric DeCosta. They said they tried or at least got feelers as to how much it would cost to get back into the second, and it cost too much. So they decided not to do that, which I'm happy for. I don't like seeing them give away draft picks, which is what they did for Miles Boykin. But I'll get into that a little bit later. The Ravens, if you're listening to this, you already know they drafted Jalen Ferguson, the defensive end, Louisiana Tech, and Miles Boykin, wide receiver, Notre Dame. Both of them fill a need. Will fit into the system. Are they plug and play? We'll find out. I feel like when it came to Jalen Ferguson, people had him at the end of the first round, early second round, and I wasn't about that. I didn't think that was the right price for the type of guy he is. Coming from a small school, tons and tons of sack production. But I thought the Ravens probably would have been better off if they got someone who's effective at getting to the pass, to the quarterback, to the passer, but more effective in the run game. Someone who can set the edge, because I don't think we have that on the team. I know we have Zach Seiler and the guy from Michigan. Can't think of his name. His name always escapes me. But I figured we need somebody who can stay on the field and passing down. Someone you can, like an every down defensive end type prospect. Now, I think Jalen Ferguson can mold into that. But what's important with him is his sack production. He broke none other than Terrell Suggs' sack record. So Terrell Suggs was the leader for FBS sacks, like career sacks, with 44, and he's held that record since 2003. And finally, someone broke it. And since Terrell Suggs left, might as well replace him with the guy that beat that record. It makes a ton of sense. In all honesty, I thought Jalen Ferguson could be a bust. I'm not too crazy about this pick, but I understand why they made it. I know I don't want to be a downer, but I wasn't high on the guy in general, just as no matter where he went in the draft. I mean, maybe in the 6th round I wouldn't have cared, but I just thought the Ravens would have been better suited to get someone who's better against the run. I think Tim Williams and Tyus Bowser can get the sack production that you need. I think we were just missing that guy who can set the edge and consistently do it. Now, Jalen Ferguson, he's a big dude, and I think he can do it. I think he has the skills to do it, but that's not what showed up on the tape. That was not what he did at Louisiana Tech. And when it comes to Miles Boykin, he was the guy that I thought would be the perfect fit at wide receiver when it came to where he falls in the draft, draft value-wise, and also being able to pick him. Big, physical, fast, ridiculous. When I watched the tape, this dude was knocking people's socks off. He might as well be a tackle in the open field when he's blocking people. People don't get off of him. So I'm imagining with our 2 draft picks, set a pick play or get it short out to Marquise Brown and have Miles Boykin be the lead blocker, and you're going to get yourself some yards. So I was super, super hyped about the Miles Boykin pick. Although they did trade picks, like I said earlier, I'm not a fan of the team giving up draft picks. And that's what they did here, I don't know the exact numbers, but I think they gave up 3 picks, their last 3rd round pick, so they kind of flip-flopped. They went to 93, I believe. They moved from 102 to 93, and they gave up, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm pretty sure it's 190, 192, and then another 170 or something. Something like that. I don't know. So they gave up some picks. I'm not a huge fan of that. I know they're later round draft picks, but the day three, that's where you get your moneymakers. That's where, the Ravens consistently would have tons of picks and end up getting starters. Our whole team is basically fourth round picks. It's a little bit of an exaggeration, but that's the way it is. But I really do love right player, kind of wrong price, but really excited about Miles Boykin. I saw, I forget who it was, but on YouTube I saw someone breaking down his game, and he didn't have the most production at Notre Dame. But I saw this guy breaking down his game tape, and he was open damn near every time. It's just the way that their offense was run. It's predicated on timing, and they were just never on time together, like him and the quarterback. Will that bode well for the Ravens? I don't think they're so much a timing offense, a rhythm type offense, which makes no sense. But the guy was making a case that he's going to be better in the league than he was at Notre Dame, and I could totally see that. So you get the size that everyone's clamoring for, the big, fast, physical dude. And the reason I like him the most is because of his blocking. He's going to stay on the field, because if they want to run, keep him on the field, block a guy, block a jet sweep, or get him the ball over top or on comeback routes. I really like what that would bring to the table. And Jaylon Ferguson, I'm just hoping that sack production can continue. The Ravens have always said that sack production is sack production. Production's production, and if he's breaking records, he obviously is doing something right, and he knows what he's doing when it comes to getting to the quarterback. It's all about finishing, baby. It's all about the finishing, man. And he knows how to do it. I obviously did it at a smaller school, and it's will that translate. He had a pretty decent Senior Bowl. Nothing blew me out of the water. But I thought, I thought like a guy like Charles Omenihu would have been a better pick. Someone who has sack production, but also way better in the run game. He wasn't even called on day 2, which I was surprised. I thought he was going to be second, third round type guy. Charles Omenihu, that is, out of Texas. But, maybe we still have an option to get him. I don't know where we pick in the 4th round. So tomorrow, I work till 7. I don't know what time the draft will end tomorrow. So I'll be listening to it. I'll be listening to a stream of it or something. I'll be listening to all the picks basically. So when it's over, I don't know what time it'll be over. So I don't know. I'll record a reaction for sure, but I probably won't title it Instant Reaction because it's not an instant reaction. But this is pretty much Ravens pick. The draft ended. I kind of watched. I watched the press conference that Eric DeCosta and John Harbaugh put on. Listened to them, and Eric DeCosta kind of teased about trading one of the picks for a future better pick. Now, as great as that is for team building overall, I don't want to see that. I want to see the Ravens get some picks. I want to talk about some players, man. I want to talk about the goddamn players. Okay? But still very excited. If you're talking getting 3 guys, there have been only 3 rounds. So we got 3 guys. And 3 guys, let's see. Marquise Brown was always talked about in the first round. Jaylon Ferguson at a certain point was talked about in the first round. So you're getting good value here. And then Miles Boykin, I just think, is the perfect fit. I think he just matches up well with this offense perfectly. A big catch radius, and I just think a big physical guy who just fits what everyone kind of wanted. Now I know Hakeem Butler is still on the board, which is pretty crazy, but I think a lot of people were scared for his drops, and that's what I was too. I was scared for how much he dropped it, and that's why I didn't want the Ravens to draft him, because he was talked about maybe end of the 1st, 2nd round. But now that he's still there, 4th round, I am 100% okay with the Ravens taking that pick, even though they got Marquise Brown and Miles Boykin. Fuck it, just draft one in every single round. I've said this before. I don't care. Fix the wide receiver position. But now I think with these 2 guys, I don't think they have to draft a wide receiver. If they really like someone, they can do that. But I really don't think maybe they will. I don't know. There's still some wide receivers I like. One of my favorite guys in this draft, Anthony Ratliff Williams, is definitely still there. He probably won't even get drafted. Who knows? But I could totally see him getting on a team and having some success. But that's looking towards the future. This is supposed to be an instant reaction. I wasn't as hyped on this one just because I'm not drunk, and I wasn't as hyped about the Jalen Ferguson pick. And as much as I like the Miles Boykin selection, I didn't like the fact that we gave up picks. So I'm a little bit more subdued on this one because I'm not as hyped as these ones. But I do overall like the way this draft is panning out. Eric DeCosta has shown that he's been a pretty good GM so far. He hasn't, man, he's not David Gettleman. Whew. When I was watching there, I was actually looking at the ESPN. I was streaming it on Reddit. I was watching the Bleacher Report stream just because they don't have commercials and they go over every single pick. It's not like ESPN and the major networks where they like to talk about stories of the draft and so people are getting picked in the background and they're just not even talking about the current picks. They're kind of like, oh yeah, they picked this guy, but let's go back and talk about this quarterback. No, they just go over every single pick. But I happened to glance over to the ESPN coverage and they had like some sideline reporter type guy, and he was talking to two fans, one a Redskins fan and one a Giants fan, and they were talking about the quarterbacks, and they're asking about the Redskins fan about Dwayne Haskins. He's like, man, I'm super hyped. It's awesome. Obviously, just a fan. You could tell, just a super fan of the team. Loved what they did. It really wouldn't have mattered. But then the Giants fan, he was like, what did you think of what's his name? Daniel Jones. What do you think of Daniel Jones? And he just puts his head down, shakes his head, and he puts the microphone up to him, and he's like, no, I think David Gettleman is sabotaging this team. I know he's from Boston. The guy pulls the microphone away, and he's like, all right, we got conspiracy theories here. But I mean, I'm happy that when the Hall of Fame GM of Ozzie Newsome stepped down, we had Eric DeCosta there to swoop in like Batman and just pick up his utility belt and say, no, we're picking guys. We know what to do. I'm all about the trades. Hopefully there's more trades. I want to see more picks. I want to see them take 15 swings at the bat, I want, the goal is 11 picks each year. Bring in basically one side of the field in rookies. Not all of them are going to pan out. There's going to be injuries, but you don't know who's going to end up being amazing. It's just the way the draft falls. You don't know who's going to all of a sudden outplay their draft status, which is what happens. A lot of the elite players in the league weren't first round picks. There's just as many undrafted rookies in the league as there are first round picks. So I just want to see him grab some more picks. But all in all, third round. Let's see. Let me go over, because there was some. Oh yeah, Zach Allen. I really liked. I was pissed Zach Allen went in the third round. I really liked Zach Allen. I was hoping he'd fall somehow. And then, Darrell Henderson. Man, the fucking Rams. I really like Darrell Henderson, but the Rams grabbed him, which is weird because they have Todd Gurley. Why would you pick running back so high? Let me see. Oh, yeah, and then the Patriots grabbed Chase Winovich. Chase Winovich was one of my favorite players. Talk about an edge defender. I like Winovich more than Jalen Ferguson, that's for sure. I just like his style, ultra productive at a big school, and then his attitude. He's gonna bring the spotlight with him, which is weird when I saw the Patriots draft him, because that is not a quiet, subdued, get to work, lunch pail and pull up by the bootstraps kind of guy that the Patriots like to bring in. Another third round guy. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, nothing else crazy. Just people making weird picks. doing weird stuff. Bobby Evans. I didn't even see that pick. He went before Ben Powers. Interesting. Will Grier. Oh, yeah, that's right. Will Grier to the Carolina Panthers. Interesting. Very interesting. What do they think of Cam Newton? Are they getting their backup? I don't know who Cam Newton's backup is now, but Will Grier's a completely different type of quarterback than him. And I know we didn't have a second-round pick, but it's all these good players coming off the board. Yeah, man, the Bills are having one hell of a draft where they get Ed Oliver, Cody Ford, and I got someone else I liked. Yeah, Dawson Knox, like in the third round, like he was seen as like a second-round type tight end. Yeah, so yeah, I think that's gonna do it. Not as high. I don't know what else to talk about. There's so many things that I could. Oh, DK Metcalf to the Seahawks at the very end of the second round. That was interesting. Very interesting. Oh, yeah, and then A.J. Brown, my favorite wide receiver. Oh, how did I not mention this? Greedy Williams in the second round. How the fuck did that happen? And, of course, he went to the Browns. What the fuck? And I overheard a thing they were talking about. Greedy Williams already proclaimed the Browns going to the Super Bowl. And it's like, okay, that's probably why he fell. He sounds like a cunt. So we're gonna have to deal with even more Browns hype. So that'll be fun to talk about once the draft is over and it's hype season and every team's going to the Super Bowl. That'll be fun because this first year the Browns are going to be in the conversation and they're going to be overhyped. But you know what? Whatever. We'll take it. Ravens will win the division and we can shut them up then. So with that being said, Jalen Ferguson, Miles Boykin, welcome to the team. Welcome to the flock. Let's get it going. Can't wait to see him in the building. Can't wait to see some interviews. I like to see the prospects when they're interviewing. How are they in front of a camera? It doesn't really do much, but it tells me about them. When you get to see the facial expressions, how they react to different questions, because they can be dumb questions, they can be smart questions. The way they answer tells me about the player and about their personality and how I think they might be able to fit into the team, or I want players that I would be comfortable hanging out with. Because I think that's an excellent quality, just a good personality. So with that being said, welcome to the team, guys, and go Ravens!